We are live. I see it.
That's awesome. It's kind of slow on my end. It doesn't show up yet, but as soon as it does,
It's it
then I
just it is. We're live.
fantastic. Hey everyone, welcome Thursday night to our Shredders Unite Biz call. I am so excited because this is going to be a special interview, and I hope I do her justice. But this evening I have my wife, Allison Harris, and I met her through, for those that don't know, probably should start. She's my coach too. She tells me how to do Facebook Lives. I should introduce myself because there are people out there who don't know who I am. My name is
Do you
Bob.
want to record, hon? Do you want to hit record too?
I'll hit record for you too. Okay, we'll start all over. Hit record
Cool.
on the computer. All right. Welcome everyone. Shredders Unite Business Call Thursday night. I am so excited. Tonight I get to interview my wifey, Allison Harris Sievewright. And on Facebook, sweetie, are you Ali Sievewright or Ali Harris?
I'm Ali Sievewright, but you could find me by Harris, Greenblatt. Got a whole slew of names, but yes, Ali Sievewright is.
For those that do not know, my name is Bob Sievewright. I am one of the ambassadors for ER Shred, and luckily enough, with Sean has given me the honor to more or less support and help run the business site. That's Shredders. ershred.biz, ershred.biz, and of course our Facebook group, it's called Shredders Unite. I am super excited because what we try to do with this is we're paying it forward. Sharing is caring, and we have this enormous group. Our ER Shred community has now grown to 22,000 plus. It has absolutely gone crazy bonkers, and the reason for that is because people are getting out of this world results. Not only is it fun, is it easy to do, but I've never seen results like this in my 17 years with our affiliated company that we use. But also when I look at what Sean has accomplished, it's mind blowing. So I get goosebumps every single day reading the stories, and that is the stories that people are sharing from their results doing their ER Shred. And as many of you know, you wouldn't be here unless someone was kind enough to think of you and mention, hey, this may or may not be for you, but I think you might like it. Why don't you come on over to the ER Shred group, check us out, see what it's all about. I think that this new twist, this is fantastic. Now for me, I mean, our old program, we used to have managed meals and a 400 to 600 calorie meal, and I get to divide it into two. That was hard for a guy. And today, my dinner, which was one of my two meals, and I had some snacks, was about a 1 pound ribeye and with mushrooms. And of course, I'm on my maintenance. But the amazing thing is I think you can do this, get results that you've never experienced, but you feel better. So I wanted to give a little bit of background on my lovely wife. We met through our company, Isagenix, and it's an amazing story. And I know it's the stories that we share that interest people, that bring people into the conversation, that go, oh, wow, I had no idea. I had been doing Isagenix at the time in 2012 for 8 years. And I'll let her share the story, but lo and behold is that I got a phone call one day on Masters weekend. I'm a big golf fanatic. So think of Sunday, Masters, Tiger Woods in the back nine. My phone rings and I answered it. And I don't know to the life of me what moved me that day, spirit or God, or, the divine, it was divine moment. I answered the phone. But before I start, Ali Sievewright, my wife, is a spiritual business coach, Reiki master teacher, and an intuitive. She's also the founder of Karma Healing Solutions, Selling from Your Soul Abundance Academy. That's a mouthful for me. I had to read that because that was the title I had forgotten. She has been an entrepreneur her entire life. I do know this about her. She's a former esthetician. She has had numerous businesses. And luckily enough for me is that after she had her transformation with her nutritional intermittent fast, she recognized that there was a business opportunity and she called me right away. Well, today going forward, her unique approach to the business is she coaches women and she supports them on basically developing their mindset around energy healing, intuition, spiritual connection. And she calls it soul aligned marketing and sales strategy. Bottom line is this is all about mindset. And she calls this belief system, the mindset, her secret sauce. So without further ado, I want to bring in my wife, Allison. And Ali, I'm sorry, I should be calling you Ali.
No, call me whatever you
Years
want.
ago, We just had our 3rd anniversary. And just so you know, I may refer to her to Allison. If you hear me call her Fred, that's my nickname. So don't freak out. And she changed her name back to what she used in high school and college to Ali, because Sievewright is a mouthful. So we've gone from Allison to Ali. And Ali, welcome to our call.
I am so nervous. I'm just so blown away by this community and everything that you have created, and Sean and Jesse and just all of the players here and the community. It truly is like nothing that I have ever seen, and it's just so special. You've just taken something that's so incredible and created this movement, is really what it is, and it's so inspiring and excited to be a part of. So I just feel really blessed to even be here with you guys, and honored that you asked me to do this, because I know how sacred your Thursday nights are. And I love it because we had a complete role reversal earlier. Normally I'm the one who's very like, I outline everything. I like everything to be, exactly written out before I present. And Bob is normally, I know this like the back of my hand. I can do this, no problem. And so, but this was a complete role reversal, because yesterday, as we started to talk about what do we want to talk about, I was like, well, let's just jam, we'll just vibe off each other, and we know each other, no problem. And Bob wanted to make sure that it was done well. And so that really said to me, he really takes this seriously. And I don't know, I'm so proud of you, babe, what you've done here. So thank you for having me on, guys.
Well, welcome. And I think the way we should start out is, let's start the story. We all come to this with our own personal story. We have our transformation. The beauty, what I have been doing, is interviewing people who are new, but also people who are older, which have experienced our nutritional intermittent fast in the past. And what I like about that aspect is that you have the ability to say, I knew what it was like before, and now I get to see the after. So when you first came to this, it's an interesting story, because one of my key business builders at the time called me up frantic, because she was at Stillwater at a physical therapist. You worked for a physical therapy place. Mm-hmm. And you had, whatever you call it, you had an expo. So everyone had their tables set up and you were showing your wares. And anyway, she called me up panicked, because she said there's this very influential woman from Highland Park who's telling everybody that this stuff doesn't work, and they're listening to her. And I'm like, no, don't worry about it. It'll be okay, because people ultimately will follow results, and they're going to listen to your story. So Allison, why don't you bring us up from that aspect of you did meet Robin Goldstein through, and also I'm thinking, who brought you in, story from the beginning.
Yeah, so it was my physical therapist actually who introduced me to the program. And so that was 9.5 years ago. I always said that the physical therapy place was kind of like my home away from home, because I had fallen into a situation. And before we even like move any farther, I definitely want to give the disclaimer, because a lot of the things that I talk about, this isn't about treating, diagnosing, preventing. We're not doing that here. And so, we're not giving medical advice. Same with the income as well. It's based on your efforts and your skill set and your commitment. And so we want to make sure to get that out of the way. And I always have to do that when I tell my story, because I was dealing with some pretty serious, meaningful health challenges, we'll say. And, my body had pretty much shut down on me. By the time I had come to the physical therapy place, I was dealing with autoimmune fibromyalgia, chronic debilitating pain, paralyzing exhaustion, to the point where I had actually become disabled. And I know that you mentioned that I had started off, I was an esthetician. I had a very successful practice, but I was also a young mom, and I was running around and trying to manage work and life. And if I wanted to make more money, for my family and, the kids' dance lessons and all of the things that, we want to give to our kids and our family, that meant for me working more hours. And so, I hit a point of just extreme adrenal fatigue, and my body had just sort of given up on me. Okay, because I was in this rat race of life, which many of us find ourselves in, trading time for money, and which is essentially what I was doing. If I wanted to step away from my business, that meant loss of income. Even, when I had my babies, I had virtually no maternity leave, right? Because if I wasn't there, who was going to make money? And so I think a lot of people can kind of relate to that, but we also feel trapped. And well, what other options do we have? And I didn't understand residual income. So when I first came to the program, it was because my health had failed me. I had spent 3 years in bed, like literally not functioning, not able to take care of my kids, not able to take care of my house, very small things that we take for granted, like holding a cell phone. Like I couldn't do that because I had this chronic discomfort throughout my body. And so I was desperate for answers. Now, on one hand, I was desperate for answers. And on the other hand, I had come with a wellness background and I worked in a doctor's office. So I had access to a lot of different solutions and people telling me to try all of these different things. And I kind of thought that I knew better, but it's like, how's that working for you? It wasn't working so good. So I was closed-minded when I first came to the program. And Leanne just sort of lovingly continued to share the program with me. And she finally just said, you know what, it's a 30-day money back guarantee. And let's just try this, right? And at that time, I was like, okay, I'm desperate, fine. I didn't have any coaching or support. I had no support. I didn't have the community that we have in ER Shred, certainly, right? And so here I am, totally toxic as a person could be. I mean, I was drinking Diet Cokes and all kinds of things, very toxic, trying to go through this detox really on my own without initially any support and guidance and a community. And so I failed miserably, and then I spent the next year sort of having this bad taste in my mouth about the company. So that's what Bob's talking about when one of his builders met me at that expo. I was very closed-minded to it. I was like, no, thank you, been there, done that. And then, essentially what happened was a system was put into place at that time around coaching. And, Leanne learned more, Dana learned more, the massage therapist, the Pilates instructor, they were all doing it in the office. And they said, let's do kind of this office thing. We'll support you this time. We'll help you. And I was very nervous to try it again, but I always say, because I was born on April 1st, and the second try with Isagenix for me was April 2nd. And I always say I was born on the 1st and I was reborn on the 2nd, because I truly believe that I was given a second chance at life in doing this the correct way and being supported through it. And my results were mind blowing. I mean, I went from not functioning at all to more energy than I ever had in my life, better sleep than I ever had in my life because I never slept well, releasing the weight. Of course, that was like a nice side benefit. But it literally gave me my life back, and that I didn't have the 24 hours a day chronic debilitating pain. And so then I found myself in the gym and doing boot camps and doing all these things. And when I came alive and woke up, it was natural for me to want to just literally tell everybody about it. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but that's
No, I mean,
how I came to at least the product experience.
And one thing I wanted to point out to the group, and I think for those that are brand new to this, and maybe this is the first time you've experienced a program, I think what sets us apart, number one, and Jesse talks about this every single time when he does his call on Tuesday as well as on Wednesday, when he talks about the overview, and that is our community. And he literally says, which is really interesting, the community is equal, if not the most important part of it. We do have the best of the best of the best. And what we're referring to is the science. We've used 20 years of experience We have this peer-reviewed science. We've got the system in place. We literally, with Sean and Crystal discovering the elimination aspect, we literally figured out it's like, it's literally magic in a bottle. I don't know how else to explain it. I was skeptical. Who would think it? I would marry another skeptic, but luckily I did. In that, what was interesting about this story is that I had still not heard, outside of that one phone call, panic phone call from a business builder saying there's this influential woman bad mouthing, the program. I said not to worry about it. Talked her off the ledge. The good news is that as divine intervention would occur, she said yes a second time. Now, the weirdest part is she didn't know me from Adam. She had tried, and I think you probably, Allison, how many people did you try to call about understanding the business?
Yeah. So, once I had my experience, now, first of all, I couldn't shut up about it, even if I wanted to, right? And, it always came back to me because at that point, from a financial standpoint, being disabled for 3 years, being completely cut off of my income. Okay. So we went from a 2-income family to a 1-income family overnight. And so the bills were stacked up because of that. And all of the health related bills of not being well, plus not working and bringing any income in, had really taken us to a very bad place where we were headed for bankruptcy. So I was very nervous about even investing in my first 9-day. Like I was hiding money and doing all the things to like even make that happen. So once I got to like day 10 and I realized, okay, I'm about to run out. What am I going to do? And I don't know if it was a pamphlet or something that came in my box that said something about, grab some friends and you can earn some money. Well, I was going to tell people about it anyways. And people were watching. They wanted to know what I thought and they saw me come alive. And so the entrepreneur in me went, well, I'm going to do this anyway. So I want to learn more about it. And, I didn't have any of the preconceived notions about network marketing. So I wasn't resistant at all because to me, this was always just about paying it forward and, no problem. And if I can help other people and help my own family, why wouldn't I do that? So right away, I dove into the learning about the income opportunity, except that I didn't have anybody in my upline that I knew of who really knew anything about the income opportunity, because that's not really where they weren't sharing it in a traditional way. They were sharing it as a retail model in a physical therapy place. So I was like calling Isagenix and like asking customer service like a million questions about compensation plans. And I couldn't understand because I had come from the model of a service-based, right? Trade time for money and retail. So sell something, mark it up, make a profit. I didn't understand what residual income was. I didn't even know about it, right? And so what happened was Robin had finally then made that introduction to you, and then you started to open my eyes to this whole other like end of things, and really started to help me understand the power of leveraging my time. Because part of the reason why I became sick is because I wasn't leveraging my time. I was just working harder and harder and harder and hustling harder and harder until I burned out. And so this was a way to leverage my time, right? Earn income without hustling while supporting my health and serving others. And that was mind-blowing to me once I like really understood that.
So let's talk about that. I know that, I came from a business background, so I was lucky in the aspect of understanding what what is a residual income.
Yeah.
Obviously, most people have heard of residuals and they've heard of, residual income. Sure, I know what that is. In fact, I know that Sunday afternoon when I took the call, and I asked you, are you familiar with residual income? And you're like, oh yeah. I've had 3 businesses and I've done this, and that. But the reality is I don't think you really quite grasped the concept of what that meant as a residual income, right?
I didn't understand how that would apply to my life. Like I only knew the model that I knew.
Sure.
you know?
And that's the question. That's what I wanted you to bring out, because
Yeah.
we're only a product of our life experiences. And for many people, this is so out of the box thinking. It's like, what? It doesn't make sense to us. So for those that do not know, we basically have a business model that you get paid a referral fee for people coming in, but then you also get a little snippet of every person in your organization that flows up to you. And that's everybody that, like for me, from day one, 2004 to fast forward to this year in 2021, I still get the same amount of credit, be it if you signed up first with me, like I think my sister was one of my first signups, or if it's someone, that just signed up last week. So my point being is that you have an endless opportunity from an income standpoint, because you do get paid to infinity and beyond, as I like to say.
Yeah. And I mean, being kind of a solopreneur, it was up to me and me alone how much money I was going to make. This expanded me so that it was a team effort, and so that we're all rowing in the boat at the same time, and we're all helping each other grow. And so if I have to, take the afternoon off to pick up the kids at school, or stay home because somebody's sick or whatever, the boat doesn't stop rowing. And so we don't stop getting paid. And so, we're all helping each other. And that was just like a totally foreign concept to me.
So
So,
if you
yeah.
can't tell, Fred here, Ali, she's a dynamo. And what happened with her is once she saw the light, she took off. And I think how was it? Maybe a couple of weeks. It was mid-April. When did you do your first business meeting?
Yeah. So I did my first business meeting about 2 weeks after I enrolled. And I put it together because I saw all these people were interested. And I was like, cool, they're interested in the product. And why not tell them about the business? So I'm just going to use the space at physical therapy. I'm going to do it on my own. I was calling customer service. And then you and I finally connected, and you offered to come and help me. And I was like, he's going to come and help me? Like, whoa, like mind blown. And it was like a 5-hour training or what. I mean, I did all of the things wrong. Okay. Did all of the things wrong. But what I did right, and what I want to, impart to you, is that it's not what you say, it is the energy behind the action that you're taking that's going to make you magnetic to people. It's your excitement, your passion, right?
Let
Your
me,
certainty and your confidence behind being a part of this mission, this bigger purpose. And it's that energy that people feel from you that makes them drawn into your world and want to know more about what it is that you're doing. So because I was so lit up, and I was equally as lit up about the product as I was the business, things just took off really fast.
so this is what I wanted to interject and state. So it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's the energy that you brought. You can't say the wrong. This is a Jimmy Smith. For those that don't know who Jimmy Smith is, he's the number one income earner in our company. But he would always say you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and vice versa. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. What was amazing about that is that you did the event. People were excited, and this was the first opportunity for you to start your community, if you will. You were creating and building on your community.
Yep.
And from that first meeting, I mean, you kind of took off like a rocket. But what I want to give you a lot of accolades on is that you were in the Start 1000 group, which means what is the Start 1000?
That was a little while ago when I qualified for the Start 1000.
So
Start.
you were
Okay, so
35
the
years
Start
of
group,
age.
for those of you who don't know, yeah, ages 18 to 35. So I like qualified like in the 35th year. I think it was the first year I came into Isagenix, or I was 34. And so, but yeah, Start 1000 was and is for that age group, which is the fastest growing age group in our company, right? Um, to hit 6 figures, right? So, I went from this really dark place of just being very low and very hopeless, really, to having purpose. again and having passion. And, that in combination, that the energy and the excitement and the passion in combination with taking action, right, is what led to things growing very quickly.
So let's get into the belief aspect, because I know you took off, you went fast. I know that you did not take your foot off the accelerator. I mean, you were pretty much you were calling everybody, you were supporting your team, you were building it. But from an outsider's point of view, me looking in, what you did better than most, in my opinion, is you instilled belief in others. And let's talk about that. I mean, you had, obviously, it's what, it's not how you say it, but it's, or not what you say, but it's it's your energy, it's how you say it. But let's talk about how you were able to motivate, inspire, and build belief in your team, because everybody was very young and brand new to the whole aspect. But the idea or the intent was that because of a good result, I don't think you wasted a lot of time with your people to get them to share or pay it forward. So how did you build so quickly?
I think that a lot of times we make the sharing piece more difficult than it needs to be, and we complicate it. We make it harder than it needs to be. We bring our own weirdness or awkwardness around what we think selling is, right? And I never looked at it like that at all, right? I always looked at it as empowering people to take control of their life and of their finances. And I always felt that it was actually an obligation of mine to let people know about both. And maybe it's because I came from a place where I was suffering so much physically, but also financially. And I knew what it felt like to be broke and to not have money and to be to not be able to pay for things and do things that you want to do. And because this had come into my life and was given to me as a gift, I felt really obligated to share that passionately, allow people to see, kind of the opportunity and get on board with whatever resonated for them, and then support them where they were. So, if you just wanted a physical experience and that's all you wanted, then I was in it to win it with you, matching your energy, excited for you, supporting you, cheering you on. But if you also were interested in getting your products paid for, and that's how I always talk to people about it, was just, most people do better when they grab a couple of friends, right? So, our company is generous enough to give you this amazing bonus referral when you share it with a couple of friends, right? And so I didn't have weirdness about it. And so then they didn't feel weird about it, if that makes sense. Okay. And you're attracting, your external results, who's showing up for you in your life, and how they're showing up is mirroring your internal state. Okay. So if I'm weird about the money and how much it costs and things like that, and I don't value it, then the people who are going to show up for me in my life are also going to feel that way. If I'm weird about the business and I'm making it awkward and uncomfortable and whatever, then the people who show up for me are also going to feel that way. And they're going to be the skeptics, and they're going to be the ones asking you if it's a pyramid scheme. I have never 9.5 years had anyone ask me if this was a pyramid scheme, which I know is kind of crazy because a lot of people experience that. But for me, this business is so legitimate, and my certainty in it and confidence is unshakable because of the work that I've done around this, right? Nobody even dares, I don't attract those people into my world. I don't allow it in.
So let's
You know what
talk.
I'm saying?
I do want to stop you there and let's talk about this, because this is a business we're inviting people to take a look at the business, but I also want to take advantage of you and use this as a business training, if you will. And if you guys haven't figured it out, I got some of my best stuff from her. I mean, obviously I've taken a lot liberty with some of your information, but I have shared it authentically with the group. But no, in all seriousness, you said certainty and posture, your confidence. When someone is sharing, typically they are going to be a little bit anxious. They're nervous. If they're looking at it from a standpoint of selling, or I want this person to sign up, that's going to be awkward. So what we obviously focus on is you've had an amazing result. You feel really, really good. Share your experience. Just share your story. But with that, what advice can you give as it relates to around certainty, your confidence, and your posture? And how does that relate to you energetically? How does that show up with the other person you see when you're communicating?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it goes back to, connecting to your own transformation and listening to the other stories, to build your belief around what it is that you're doing. And I think it comes back to also trusting your own intentions, right? If I'm in integrity, right, when I go to share, and I see this conversation as an invitation into transformation, because that's how I view it. When I think about having like an enrolling conversation or whatever, I'm in the moment connecting with that person, human to human, right? And I'm listening and I'm paying attention to, what they're saying to me, where they're struggling. And I'm thinking to myself, is there anything in my toolbox that I know of that I might be able to serve that person with? I'm not thinking about the end result of, are they going to sign up or anything. I practice really mindfulness and being in the moment with that person and serving. And, if you can get your mind around this interaction as being, can sales be cold and manipulative and awkward? And yeah, of course they can, right? We've all been on the receiving end of that, right? But you get to choose what it looks like for you, and you get to choose what meaning you place on that enrolling conversation or that connection that you're having with somebody, and what meaning you're giving it to. If you see it as a way for you to be connected to, your life's purpose, your unique life messages, your mission, and you're in integrity with your core values of, for me, it's authenticity. That's like one of my biggest core values, right? And as long as I am being authentic and I am coming from a heart-based, service-based place, I realize that it's only through having this conversation with somebody that I can actually impact somebody's life or transform their life. Their life doesn't transform if I'm not willing to get out of my own way. And I would say for me, that was the biggest shift that I had to make when I first started. Because I think somebody told me, oh, post your before and afters or whatever. And so all I could think about was being like mortified about that. Like, who on Facebook didn't know me like that? And what are they going to think about me? And I haven't seen these people since college or whatever, maybe. And I remember having this like serious heart to heart conversation with myself and being like, get over yourself. This isn't about you. This is bigger than you. When you're tapped into the bigger mission of it, right? Which is when we take the ego out of the way. We take all the fear and the sabotaging thoughts and kind of the humanness of us out of the way, and we just tap into what is our soul calling us to do right now. How is our soul asking us to stand up and serve right now, right? When you look at it from that perspective, say, like, it just takes all the weirdness out of it, because you are in your zone of genius. You are connecting with that person and you're giving them a lifeline, right? And you're in gratitude. So that's how I come to it. And
So
that's
when
how
you, one thing I wanted to share and kind of interweave some of these crazy stories is, when I evolved, if you will, from a stockbroker, money manager, mindset, finance, and I was A plus, whatever, go, 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 go. And if either run with me or get out of the way type mindset, unfortunately. Um, I hit my wall. I had my health crisis. This turned my life around. I still didn't quite have the ego out of the way that you mentioned that allowed me to be open to this business. And I had to really work on myself from a personal development standpoint, to have, greater compassion and empathy towards others, and to basically look at it more of what is my vision, what's my mission, looking what am I looking to achieve. One of the things I wanted to mention in this group is that I don't know who is the proper person is to credit, but I remember doing all kinds of affirmations. I was doing all kinds of, making profile lists, who do you want? And somehow I got involved in this project where I was supposed to make a list of my next perfect mate, who would I want in my life? And I literally did this candlelight ceremony, and I remember writing this stuff out. And I didn't talk about size or curly hair or anything like that, tall or short. But I did say I was looking for a spiritual person who had a deep connection to their source, to God, who was compassionate, who was loving, and I wanted somebody who came from an abundant mindset, not scarcity thinking. So what I would like to say in the past is that when I always looked at from Wall Street, there's a winner and loser, but it was always like I wanted to be the biggest winner at the table. I wanted to be the biggest winner at the blackjack table. I wanted to have the most chips, and it's mine, not it's ours. So that my transformation was to basically be open and have an abundant mindset. So I was writing all these things out, and I literally, I literally just burned the candle, blew out it, threw out the ashes, whatever, said a little prayer. And all along, Allison's in my business, but little did I know is that you were going through a divorce, and because I had gone through a divorce, we kind of connected on that aspect, and we just kind of talked each other through it. And I was doing it more as a friend to say, this is what I went through, it'll be fine. Here's what I'd suggest. Or I was just a shoulder to listen to. But lo and behold, we obviously started dating. And the crazy thing is, when I think of energetically, she's literally everything, every characteristic that I put on that list. And that was like, holy cow, this is what I wished for. I'm thinking, okay, this is weird, and then I find out she's into Reiki, and she's an energy healer. And, I call her, a witchy woman. And I'm thinking, holy cow, I really, asked for it. But I think the amazing thing is just, I guess it's what you said earlier. It's where you are at that moment. Where is your energy? What are you putting out there? What are you looking for? And honestly, for me, because I always had you could tell people I had commitment issues. But once I recognized that you were it and you matched up with my little wish list, the genie in the bottle came out and said, okay, you get it. Here's what you get. I kind of freaked out. Right. And
Totally.
I literally got scared, got cold feet for a little bit, but within, whatever, we took it slow, but we did eventually get married. So what was your experience? Obviously you were going through your divorce, not a fun time, but I think it was the fact that we just were in alignment with our vision in terms of sharing, paying it forward and making a difference and helping people. And so we had a like business minds, I guess. What was it for you? I mean, I never asked you this question. Obviously I know I had my list, but I don't think I ever really asked you in terms of, I don't think this was anything that you were bargaining for, especially,
What are you asking me?
energetically. We were connected, but I honestly believe that we connected because of where our mindset was and where our energy was at that moment. Like attracts like. That's kind of what I wanted to get at.
Yeah. And I mean, and the same thing is happening with, like what I was saying, like your external world shows up for you when you start making the shifts internally. And, a lot of people who go through this process and start making shifts internally, then you start going through like personal development and upgrading your mindset, and you're feeling good, you know, and you're upgrading your energy. And so experiences start showing up for you that match that internal vibration. And, you know, of course, you and I have always connected in that way, of course, you know, in terms of the way that, you know, we view things, and from a spiritual aspect, and that everything is connected and everything is energy. But I think that we use a lot of those concepts in business, and that was very unusual to me, because I remember very early on in my career, like having these, you know, my dad modeled for me what you're talking about, whereas, you know, having that servant heart. He was a small business owner, and he really modeled for me that if you just put the client first, which is what you always did, right, on Wall Street, if you just put the client's needs first, then the abundance comes as a result of being willing to do that. So that's kind of the, not the side benefit, but that is the outcome when your intention is pure, right? And when your heart led, and when you come from an abundant mindset. I remember working in the spa and leading the other estheticians, being in charge of the department, and there was a lot of, well, that's my client and that's my client, and me always wanting to kind of have this collaborative approach, right? Because and trusting that, you know, the abundance will come when you are willing to put that client first, and when you're willing to serve. And so you and I both saw Isagenix and building Isagenix in the exact same way. Like, we approached it in a way that really, it wasn't, it was about, you know, being plugged into this greater mission and being connected to our purpose, and also in our training, in the way that we trained our team to really be connecting with that person on an emotional level, and listening to our own intuition, and reading the energy of the person who you're right in front of. So not only what are they saying, but, you know, what do they feel, you know, what are you feeling from them, what are you taking from them, how can you support them, like beyond just kind of the words, right? And so I had never met anybody who had implemented these practices in business before, and I think that was very unique when I met you, you know, and why we were able to work really well together and building our businesses together.
So let's fast forward then to ER Shred. And this is the part that I think this is the crazy energy, woo woo, you know, like attracts like. We knew Sean and Crystal Escobar. They'd been in the company, you know, before us. We know Randy and Tony Escobar. And I always admired them. I know you admired them, but what really attracted us to them was their energy and their abundant mindset. And I remember when Sean and Crystal were creating this community, they said, we want you to be part of this. And this is going to be huge because the right people will show up. We're just going to put it out there, and the right people are going to show up because we're going to come from an abundant mindset. We're going to be empowering. We're going to give control back to the individual to figure out what's right for them. We'll give them the tracks to run on. And, you know, I look at how quickly this thing exploded from October to today. It's mind-boggling, especially to consider this thing got started in the beginning of the holidays, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas, Hanukkah, etc. So we really have hit on something. And when I think about my belief system, I think about where your belief system, where you come from, and how some way, somehow we were able to realign with Sean and Crystal, which is probably the most exciting thing for me personally, because I know I've said this to you many times. I thought I knew it all. I thought I was smarter from a business perspective. So I'm going to do it this way. I wasn't building teams. I was going straight to companies, whatever. It didn't work out so good for me because I didn't have a team to depend on. But when I look at what Sean and Crystal have created, what Tony and Randy have done, and what the tone they set, it's all about supporting one another with building community. And when Sean said, I'm really, really good at building community, I'm like, man, I'm all ears. How do we go about this? So that's what excites me. So when I look at everybody that's on this call tonight, everybody that's in the Shred community, there's a common theme. And that's why I think it's so exciting, because everybody in there is supporting everyone else, because we're all of the like mindset. We're energetically connected. And so knowing this, and I just want to know, what would you recommend to someone brand new in Shred, or someone even who had been in the former company in Isagenix, but had done it the old traditional way, but maybe they're burned out, but now Shred something new and different? What are the things that how would you recommend people to take a fresh look at it? What would you tell them to avoid from a standpoint of maybe even limiting beliefs? Because I look at
Yeah.
this brand new company.
Yeah. I think that we all come to the program for different reasons, and we all have different experiences, and we all have different, what ties us together is the protocol and the community, but then we have our own individual experiences and ahas, and how we've woken up in different ways, and who we feel particularly excited about serving, right? So somebody may do Shred, and maybe it's the sleep piece, like maybe they're sleeping for the first time ever, right? Maybe somebody is having issues with a plateau and has been plateaued for years, and it's the weight loss that's really exciting to them, or maybe it's the digestion, or whatever it may be, to really like pull out the pieces that you are specifically excited about, and really hone in on sharing that message, because you have to kind of find, if the lights have turned out and you're and you're not feeling passion anymore about you're saying like the old protocol,
Or what you people are going to come to it from one of two ways. You either have done the old protocol, you've burned out, and maybe you've lost that passion, but now all of a sudden you feel good.
mm-hmm,
And okay, you got to turn the lights back on. For me, it was
mm-hmm,
just all the mental awareness, and just literally I came alive, and I just haven't been able to shut up since.
right,
But I think that a lot of people, you either come to it with some foreboding in terms of, I've done this and I didn't have success, so what's going to inspire me to do it a second time? Mental mindset again. And then the other thing is just someone who's brand new, that it's probably going to be more related to a limiting belief on fear. I've never done this before, or maybe I'm not going to be successful at this. I know that you coach a lot of women, and I know you're working with lots of different businesses. But what I find fascinating is it doesn't matter what business they represent, it always comes down to the same commonality, and it's the same issues that seem to reappear. So how do you coach your new people in the academy, for example? Because you talk about getting in alignment with their belief system. You talk about niching down or getting really focused on certain aspects, and
mm-hmm.
getting really good in terms of your messaging. And the other thing is, I think we've got this thing figured out, but what I really want people to understand is it's between here, it's between your ears that usually gets in the way. And if you can get your mindset right, and you get your story's authentic, you can't mess your story up. Then it's just getting out of your own way, sharing, paying it forward, and inviting people into our wonderful community. Because I don't know anybody that wants in. I mean, we've got people who are in Shred that are, not throwing them under the bus, that are vegans, or basically the vegetarians, but they're in Shred because they like the community.
Right. And so I think what it really comes down to is keying in on what are the aspects of this transformation that you've had that are really important to you to share with other people. Like, instead of, sometimes there's a tendency to say, well, it's going to do this and it's going to do that, and it's going to do this and it's going to do that. But like, what are the things that you are really lit up about, you are fired up about sharing with other people, right? Who are you lit up about talking to? Are you excited about talking to the busy moms who don't have a lot of time to cook and prepare. And this was just easy for you and it was a game changer and it's just convenient for you. And so you feel particularly passionate about making sure that that community knows about this because that has impacted you so much. It's really about like reflecting on your own story and your own transformation. How has it impacted you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in your relationships, financially, your productivity? What are in all of the different ways? And really owning your own story and owning your own experience, because that you can, nobody can argue with that, right? You can get 100% behind that and not trying to like be everything to everyone is what I would say, just from a marketing standpoint. If I don't feel particularly fired up about talking to middle-aged men about it, because that's not going to help me jump out of bed in the morning, right? You're going to cover all the dudes, right, with the dad bods. But who I feel particularly fired up to talk to to talk to people about are the entrepreneurs, because I feel like this is the best, this is not only going to support their health, but also is game changing from a financial aspect in having an additional stream of income. I work a ton with coaches and healers and wellness-based entrepreneurs. I know what this did for my business and for my life, the income opportunity. And so for me, I jump out of bed thinking about showing people how to add this additional stream of income to take the pressure off of, their coaching practice or their massage practice or, whatever it may be. And so that lights my fire. That's what I want to get up and talk about, all the time, but that may not be your jam, right? So you have to figure out what is your, what is going to light your fire, because ultimately at the end of the day, like we talked about, it's that energy and passion and, living out that passion and living out that purpose that is going to make you magnetic to the right types of people who are going to say, I want what she has. I don't even know what it is, but she's talking to me. She's really excited about it. It can't be that bad, right? And so that's
to it is when passion meets purpose, and
right.
or purpose meets, when those two connect, you have magic. And when I
Right.
think of the typical job, you typically did not find your job because that was exactly what you were passionate about, and that's not necessarily what really got you jumping out of bed in the morning. For some, they get lucky and they find that.
Or maybe it is, right? Like, because for me, what I was doing, I loved what I was doing, right? But it was in a business model that was not sustainable and was not going to support the life that I wanted. And so that's where residual income is so incredible, because it helps, because there's no point in building a business and making a lot of money, or working a job and making a lot of money, even if you enjoy what you're doing, if you're a slave to that job, or if you can't ever step away without losing money or without fear, or you can't, for I know we didn't really talk about this, but for many years, with the exception of last year, I had many surgeries, 5 surgeries, major surgeries over the last few years. And this income opportunity allowed me to go through that and to heal. It took a very long time for you to step away, to take care of me, to take care of the house, to do all of those things without worrying about the financial impact of it, right? And so that to me is like, I can't even, and so that's meaningful to me. And so I named my Abundance Academy Selling from Your Soul, because when you are selling from the place of your soul's calling and you're in alignment with what is exciting to you, what your unique message is to the world, and you're sharing that authentically, right? And you're doing what you love, that is when abundance then, and obviously you have to have strategy and you have to take action and your mindset, and those are all things that we get into. But at the core of it, you have to be in love with what it is that you're sharing, what it is that you're doing. And so getting connected to your why. Why are you even doing this? And why does it matter? Right? It's incredibly important part of it.
I think that one of the best things, I know we're coming to the top. There's so many things I want to ask you, but I can't even get into the Facebook queen stuff and just the fact that you pushed me off out of the door. And that was one of the things, by the way, during my Shred journey, for those that were here early on in October. Literally, I would do a Facebook Live because my wife wanted me to do a Facebook Live, and little old me was a little timid. So I would go into our private small group of 3,000. Still, it's a good size group. We love our community that we built. And I would do a Facebook Live, and I would come in and be proud of myself. And Allison would look at me and say, "Did you do that on your personal page?" "Oh, no, I did it in the group." That does not count. Go back out there and do it all over. And it was your insistence that I finally, and it kind of cracked up because I got emotional. And when I look at what Sean has accomplished, many people said they came on because they saw Sean publicly on his Facebook talking about this, doing a live, for, in other words, from his personal page, not from the business page.
Well, and the thing is that I know that your message is so powerful, and I know that your message is so inspiring, and I know that you have these incredible gifts. And sometimes, it's about holding space for someone and pushing them out the door and out of their comfort zone and saying, "You got this. Like, I believe in you. Now go." And sometimes you have to do that. And then this kind of circles back to the original question that you were asking me about inspiring others to go out and share, is that before they even have their own confidence and their own belief, you have to hold that space for them first, right? And and have them borrow that from you temporarily until they go out and do the thing. And as you're doing the thing, that's where you're gaining the confidence. And so a lot of people think, well, I don't have the confidence to do that, right? But the confidence comes from having the courage to go out and do the thing. And as you do the thing, you become more confident, right? And so I knew that what you had to say shouldn't be just held to a small group of people. Like, you need a bigger stage for your message,
Well,
right?
and I'm thrilled and honored that Sean gave me that stage. But at the same time, if you hadn't pushed me, none of this would, I wouldn't be participating in this forum right now, because even though I was good or felt comfortable public speaking or in front of a group, talking in front of my cell phone, doing a Facebook Live out to the universe somewhere, I was very uncomfortable. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for pushing me to basically get, to do better. And I can see it being paid forward in that matter, because it wouldn't be possible without us getting our messages out there. And I think that's kind of what I want to wrap it up with, asking you this question. But understand, if you don't want to share with people, that's okay. But at the same time, I had that same experience. Peter Greenlaw introduced this to me. I had this amazing result. And when I just said, "How can I pay you back? You've changed my life. You saved my father's life, in my opinion. I'll help you out. What can I do?" And he just said, "Just do for someone else that I did for you." He goes, "Just pay it forward." And I'm like, that's it? And that's what I love about this community. So it's a law of large numbers. We're at 22,000. We've added 4,000 just since the beginning of the year. But if the 4,000 just came in and had a good experience and they are loving what they're seeing, all they need to do is share it with a couple of people. Next thing you know, we're at 30,000, and then we're going to go at 50,000. Then it will be 75, 100,000. And I know it's going to grow like this. So, Hun, since you have seen the before, prior to Shred, what the Shred protocol is. You've seen the community. You've seen, obviously, the calls that we do on Thursday nights, Jesse's calls, etc. What do you think the opportunity is over the course of the next 12 months or longer, compared to how we started? We thought we had a good gig back in the day. But
Yeah.
what do you think of it now?
Well, here's the thing. We thought we had a good gig, and we did. We did have a good gig, right? But over time, things evolve, and why not make it better and easier, right? And easier to get better results and to grow faster and to have a bigger community, and right. And so looking back, like, that's what we knew. That was the only thing that we knew, and what we knew was great for many years, right? But when I think back to the fastest times that we were growing, the two main things that I can think of, right? Fastest time that we were growing and getting the best results from a product standpoint and a business was simplicity, when it was just one option, right? Everybody just did this one thing, right? Because it duplicated. It was simple. It wasn't confusing, right? So simplicity, and the community, when we were really throwing logs on the fire as far as doing the calls and doing that, and really having that community. And Shred has it on steroids. I mean, Shred has the simplicity of it, that just the ease of it. It doesn't have all the heavy lifting and the, you got to do this many veggies and this many this and a half a cup of this, and I mean, it's just like, forget about it, right? It's just easy. It's easy to do, and it's the community. I mean, it's the culture. People will stay for the culture, and that's just fact, right? They want to feel that they belong to something. Everybody wants to feel that they belong to something, and especially nowadays, people feel very disconnected. Of course, the pandemic has magnified that by so much, but just in general, and with social media, even, and it's ironic because we are connected, that we can reach people across the world, yet we're often in our phone and we're often very disconnected. And so, and the world is a very different place and is very divided in many, many ways, but this is a safe place where people can come together and be united and be on the same page about something and be part of a mission and something bigger. And it's about the physical transformation, but along with that, as many have experienced, there's an emotional transformation, there's a spiritual transformation, right? There for some is a financial transformation. It's truly like this holistic community in that way. And it's just going to keep growing and growing. I mean, it's just, to be able to invite people in and just say, like, take a look at this, what's going on here. It's like, how could you not want to join this movement, right? And then to just have all of the different experts and people so willing to give of their time and help, when somebody's struggling, or whatever it is, so that nobody feels like they're going at it alone, which, like we talked about, that is why I stopped doing Isagenix initially, because I felt like I was going at it alone. And it was only when I had the support, and then we eventually built our community, where like everything just changed, right? So it's, the opportunity is just, it's off the charts, and it's just a matter of getting out of your own way,
Well, we're at the top of the hour. I will have to have you back on talking about Facebook and some other business building aspects that we can drill down into. This is a little surfacey, but honey, thank you so much for allowing me to try to do my best to interview you. But it's one of those things. We have so many things to talk about. What I do here, the message that I think is so key is we do have something very, very special here with this community. This epitomizes like attracts like. We have just such a hot, solid core group, but that core group literally went out there and got other people to come join our bonfire. And again, I've never seen a movement quite like this. This is a movement. And like you said, people will do anything to be part of a movement or to be part of a community that's in alignment with their core beliefs. And I think we've got it about where we're at today. So top of the hour. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alice. Is there anything else?
Of course. No, maybe it's just asking if the academy is open to everyone. So that is a private program that I run. However, I do have a free Facebook group where I talk about all things energy, mindset, soul line strategy, spiritual connection, sale. It's so, and that's called Karma Success Sisterhood, authentic selling for heart-led entrepreneurs. So for the ladies, and that is absolutely free and open, and would love to have you. So for sure.
Karma, you renamed it. It's Karma?
It's Karma Success Sisterhood, or just friend me, you know, we can connect as well.
You're not shy on Facebook. Friend request
No.
Ali if you'd like to learn more. She's got a wonderful free group, and yeah, it's all about helping others, getting them, your customer or your friends, getting them what they want. If we take care of them, we take care of everybody else, everything else happens naturally. Allison, thank you so much. This was fun.
Thank you, babe.
The dogs were good. I'm so terrified that Teddy Shredder hasn't.
The dogs were so bad about an hour before, like new levels of bad.
I literally went out and got a raw
I was panicked.
pig's nose. I hope I didn't kill the dog. I mean, I don't know where he's at.
Wait, honestly, did you kill it all? He barked so much that he probably barked himself to sleep. Like, honestly, it was like, I was just thinking, if this was 7 o'clock, there's no way we could have done this.
You need another gooseneck for next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, trust me, it's worked out quite well. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Good night, guys.
Thank you,
so
Ali.
much.
Thank you, Bob. Great.
Appreciate it.
interview.